Another way to harness overthinking is expressing the thoughts. The brain, our mind, is not a good hard drive, but it's a good processor. Externalize the data, write them down somewhere. When you write things down, you will feel better. And if writing is not your thing, have a trusted person you can express these things to. Then you feel yourself more relieved. That's how to harness overthinking. Express them, write them down. Write them down and watch yourself. It is therapeutic to write things down. It is very therapeutic. It is a therapy people have been missing out on. Sometimes you are trying to spend unnecessary amount of money to a therapist. It's important, therapy is important in that dimension, but have you tried writing things down? Have you tried having a journal? Have you tried talking with friends that care? It may not be everything, but in externalizing your data, you'll be better. You'll be better. So overthinking is a strength. It is a superpower. It's a game changer. So you are a mutant, not a villain. It's beautiful to be here again. Another weekend, another Friday, to get to interact, to get to share on this beautiful podcast named Modus Operandi by your host, Dr. B. Mark, aka Dr. Macaulay Barnabas. I always flip the name, but they're all the same. Again, it's a privilege to do this, and we'll be diving right into it. Today's conversation will be on overthinking, the concept of overthinking. What is overthinking all about? In the society today, half of the time when I hear of overthinking, it is usually perceived as a flaw or like a bug in a system. Some perceive it to be a disadvantage in a person's personality trait. Some see it as a psychological problem. Is that really so? But I don't think so. I have come to realize that our advantages are often our disadvantages. If you want to know the strength of a person, look at their weakness. And if you want to know the weakness of a person, look at their strength. Never forget this. I don't see them for Buko, but it is the truth. I'm pretty sure other authors must have come to that reality of truth and penned it down. Our advantages are often our disadvantages in all respects. To know the strength of a weak person, check their weaknesses. To know the weakness of a person, check their strengths. That is the truth. Overthinking is no different. It is a strength. It is a superpower. If you are an overthinker, consider yourself a mutant. If you've seen X-Men, you know what I'm talking about. The solution is not to exterminate yourself, but to look for the nearest Professor Xavier as soon as possible. Professor X in the X-Men is the person who gathers the mutants, discovers them, and helps them refine their superpowers. For example, I see overthinking like you being a Cyclops. Cyclops is a mutant. From his eyes, he emits some deadly rays. Some people call cosmic energies, infinite cosmic energy. Without his visors, he could destroy a city within hours. So the visor enables him to refine the superpower, the cosmic energy, the rays emitted from his eyes, into specific use. So control is as important as having a superpower. Another problem with overthinking I discover is the fact that when the understanding of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. When the purpose of a thing is not comprehended, it is very sure that abuse will be the way forward. So what is overthinking? What should we do about overthinking? Is it wrong to have this ability? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's like a double-edged sword, like I have said. all things that are strength in them is the weakness. And to discover the strength of a thing, check the weaknesses in that person, right? What are the advantages of this, of overthinking? Or what is the advantages? What are the advantages of being an overthinker? One of the advantages, strength, the pros of overthinking is you are able to detect subtle errors. You are able to connect them. You're able to pick them. What people would not see, the majority part of the population may not be able to perceive. You're able to see them. You're able to detect them. And that is very, very important in a company. For instance, you're able to just spot an error in a spreadsheet. Overthinkers will be very useful as accountants as well. You're able to pick the tiny details. And in life, most times, the tiniest things make all the differences. They do. So that is called deep risk assessment. Deep risk assessment. Another advantage of overthinking or being an overthinker is the ability to empathize more than others, because you are able to analyze social concepts more than anyone else. You are able to feel other people's pain. You are able to pick it. You are able to relate more. You are able to feel. You are able to also understand, putting yourself in other people's shoes. That is beautiful, really. As a counselor, as a psychologist, that would help. If you want to be that, if you want to go into those professions, you are able to really empathize. I believe that to truly change the situation of another person, you first have to empathize. That is what love does. Love is two things, like I always say. Love is both truth and empathy. You cannot express truth properly when you don't have empathy, and you cannot properly express empathy when you don't have truth. So being an overthinker, you are able to put yourself in another person's shoe, and we all need empathy. The third advantage of being an overthinker is you are able to solve problems, complex problems. You are able to connect two very disparate things. And this is important in creative spaces, not just creative spaces, everyday to day affairs. You are able to just connect two things, and that makes all the difference. That makes all the difference. From there, you have innovations. You have innovations of all kinds, because you are able to just pick two different things that the normal person would not have been able to think in that direction, but somehow you are able to. So it's a superpower, being an overthinker. I mean, we need more overthinkers. We need you in our life. We need you. I'm an overthinker anyway. What are the disadvantages of being an overthinker? Number one is that you have chronic stress, constant stress. And why that is because the subconscious, which constitutes 80 to 90% of the mind, does not know the difference between reality and fantasy. It perceives the two situations the same. So being an overthinker, you do not know the difference between, your subconscious does not know the difference between a real danger happening or a perceived one, the one that you were just ruminating on. So it gives the same response to both situations. So you're always on this fight or flight mode. And life is not always about that. There are a lot of moments for relaxation, to be very calm, not being over the edge. To live over the edge consistently is to have yourself tired and drained most of the time. Another disadvantage is decision fatigue. Oh yes. You look at a toothpaste. The amount of energy to take to pick a toothpaste is the same energy that you ought to use to choose a career path. So you use the same energy that you ought to use to choose a career path in picking a toothpaste. And that is usually funny. So that decision fatigue can be a lot. You're not able to differentiate, okay, what is of low consequence with what is of high consequence. So you give the same energy and the same input into them. And this is also tied to the chronic fatigue. You are distressed, living on the edge most times. And that is unfair on your mind, ultimately unfair on your body. The third disadvantage of overthinking would be loss of presence. You are not always in the present. You are always thinking of the past or the future. And that is not a wise way to live. It is a terrible concept to be so internalized that you don't know what's happening in the external. Maturity is being able to do both appropriately. You want to be very well centered, well internalized, at the same time well externalized. Of what use is the processing when it has not been expressed in the external? You get the point? So constantly living in the past, thinking of what could have been, why, what could have been done better, what you could have said better, what could have been expressed better. Thinking of the future, what should be done, what will happen, and what has not yet happened. Both are foolish. There's a place in Ecclesiastes in scriptures that talked about those who talk of better yesterdays. It is foolishness. That's what the scripture says. It is foolishness. Those who say there's such a thing as better yesterday. Those who talk about the good old days. It's a foolish thing to say. Stop living in the past. Rather, draw from the past and apply it to the present. Think about the future and apply it to the present. And those who think about the future and being lost in it, they are also not doing themselves any good. Every day has enough problem of its own. You cannot add one single strand of hair to your head by thinking into the future. No. So the idea is to be able to harness this whole thing properly. So how do we harness overthinking properly? So I will start with the concept of time. And in the concept of time, the first dimension is a 2-minute rule. For decisions that are not so consequential and that are reversible, if in 2 minutes you are not yet to decide, you have not decided what to do, go with the default setting. It could be what food to eat. Give yourself a 2-minute rule, because overthinking thrives on infinite time space. If you don't have a time fixated for it, it will just brood, take over your mind, take over everything. So you need to say, in 2 minutes, if I don't decide on what to do, I will go with the default setting. And it works. It works. It works. Another dimension of time in harnessing overthinking properly would be what I would call scheduling your thinking. If you are driving, for instance, to work, and a thought comes, and every thought with it comes the energy to take your emotions, your attention, your focus, and all that. Tell the thoughts that by 4 p.m. or by 5 p.m. we'll think about this. Tell the thoughts that by 2 p.m. we'll think about this. I have fixed 2 p.m. I have allotted 2 p.m. for you. And that's it. So another way to harness overthinking is moving from why to how. Moving from why to how. Yes. Because if you don't do that, you just find yourself in a loop. And this loop can be infinite. Rather than living in that spectrum, say how. Okay, how do we make this better? How can we make this better? Instead of why. And why sometimes do not have a specific answer. You just keep going over this loop repeatedly. So the why is a loop. The how is a ladder. It makes you climb into the solution rather than being in that loop of what could have been, What will be? What could possibly be? What could I have done? How would I have said this better? How would I have done this better? You need to leave the why and move into the how. How do I make myself more audacious? How do I make my steps, my relationship more fruitful? What are the steps? Write them down. Another way to harness overthinking is expressing the thoughts. The brain, our mind, is not a good hard drive, but it's a good processor. Externalize the data. Write them down somewhere. When you write things down, you will feel better. And if writing is not your thing, have a trusted person you can express these things to. Then you feel yourself more relieved. That's how to harness overthinking. Express them. Write them down. Write them down and watch yourself. It is therapeutic to write things down. It is very therapeutic. It is a therapy people have been missing out on. Sometimes you are trying to spend unnecessary amount of money to a therapist. It's important. Therapy is important in that dimension. But have you tried writing things down? Have you tried having a journal? Have you tried talking with friends that care? It may not be everything, but in externalizing your data, you'll be better. You'll be better. So overthinking is a strength. It is a superpower. It's a game changer. So you are a mutant, not a villain. You only need a Professor X. And I hope today's podcast was a Professor X for you, Xavier, that has given you perspective in understanding the superpower, knowing the advantages and its cons. Finally, being able to harness and express them properly. So be an overthinker. It is great to be an overthinker. It is a strength. It's an ability that was given to you in alignment to your purpose. Do not discard it. Rather, understand it and know how to navigate it. It is a day-to-day steps, growth, progress. One thing I would like to say in all this is learn to forgive yourself. This is important. It enables you to let go of thoughts quickly. Yes, this is beyond the paper thing I have said. Those are important. Learn to forgive yourself as quickly as possible. You are human. That is the truth. You are not God. You did not choose the day of your birth. You did not say, okay, I'm going to be born 12th of May, 1997 or 1984. You did not do that. You were born. It shows that you are human. It shows that you don't have all the factors under control. Your responsibility is to think what could have been done better and quickly go to the how we can do it better going forward. That is it. To live in the loop consistently is to live in abject self-pity, self-resentment, and you cannot truly live life that way. You really can't. There's a quote by C.S. Lewis that I love. He said, if God has forgiven you and you have refused to forgive yourself, that means you are telling us that your tribunal is higher than his. Let's go. Let God get out of the way. You are a superhero. You are a superhero. I hope this has been a beautiful episode. Until next time, same place next week. Have an amazing weekend. God bless you.